So can you believe that it is almost Christmas already?
No. In fact, have you noticed that Christmases come faster and faster every year?
Right? I know. And I don't know. I think every year after Christmas, I think, okay, I'm going to do things totally different and earlier so that I'll be ready.
And how did that work for you this year?
About the same as it did last year in the last 10, 20, 30 years. I don't know that I ever learn. But I do have some really good memories of Christmas, whether I was ready for it or not. How about you?
Oh yeah, there are some that just stand out to you as because usually they stand out when they're really different. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Does one stand out to you?
The one that probably stands out the most to me is the year we went to Germany. And while we were in Germany, when we first got there, we hadn't expected to be able to be there for Christmas, and our household goods weren't there yet. And so we'd gotten this house at like the last part of October, and it was still going to be a couple more months before we got our household goods. So we had only what we could carry in suitcases with us. And so knowing that we probably wouldn't have everything for Christmas, before we left, I had gotten the only felt that we owned, which was all sorts of weird colors from a project I had done with the kids. And I took sheets of felt and I made it into funny colors of ornaments that were shaped like Christmas trees or crosses or manger scenes or just different things for Christmas. And I made like 30 of them, but we didn't have any room to pack them, so I couldn't stuff them. So I sewed them all on the machine to close them like a pillow. And then when I got there, I got just like blanket stuffing to be able to stuff in there, and hand sewed them shut and they had little ribbons in them to hang from. And so I had like purple Christmas trees and yellow Santas and weird things like that.
I love that.
They were on this tree that our Oma had helped us find, a Christmas tree. They bought us a Christmas tree for us because we were in this house with this German family. And so on this little tree in front of our window were these funny colored little ornaments that were made of felt. And that was pretty much what we had for the tree. And we were just so excited about it because it was the first time we'd been in California when we grew up, and then we'd been in Phoenix. So this is the first time we'd seen snow. And I realized you can't even walk on it because you slide everywhere. And I'm pregnant and I've got a 2-year-old. And I'm trying to figure out how are we going to make Christmas happen for this 2-year-old. Yeah. And he loved these little felt ornaments because he couldn't break them. He could play with them.
Oh, that is great. Okay, I have to ask you, which 2-year-old, because we know you had a lot of children.
Oh, Shannon Jason, he was the oldest. So he was the only 2-year-old.
Okay, so you were pregnant with, okay, I have to remember, Cassie, right?
No, actually, we were pregnant with the one who didn't live, but it was a good guess. You haven't met this one. But anyway, we were in this time where we were trying to get him to understand Christmas in a place he had never seen or done anything. And so we were telling him how most people look forward to the snow, and he couldn't understand why anybody would want that. And so finally we said, you know what, the really important thing is just the story of Jesus. And this is what we're celebrating. And so Luke 2, reading that to him and talking to him about it at a 2-year-old level was a tradition that we then kept for all of our Christmases after that with the kids. Before they could open presents, they had to read Luke 2. And so they were like, okay, that came to be known to them as this means Christmas. This is when Christmas is going to happen. When we hear that verse, then we know.
You created a tradition that probably has lasted to this Christmas, haven't you?
Absolutely. We don't always read this with all the grandkids because we have other families now have their own traditions, but we always talk about why. And so this year we didn't read that, but we talked about how how many presents the wise men got and how many you should get, and how do we know, and that nobody really knows. And so it kind of was putting something from the Christmas story in it, though, has stuck. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. That is amazing. And you know what I find is a lot of people, like, I've known you for a long time, but I'd never heard that story. And it's very special. And the fact that you remember it now, how many years later?
Yeah. Shannon is not young. Shannon Jason is not young.
You don't want him to hear you.
That's true. But I mean, from a 2-year-old, he's not like a child.
Okay, that's fair.
So what story do you have that would remind you of what Christmas really, that story touched you?
You know, as you were talking, I was thinking of something similar. You know, we don't have to have these grand Christmases. And in fact, I think it's the ones that are not these huge mounds of presents under the tree. The one that really rings home to me was when Allie was about 3 and Brittany was somewhere around 15. Mm-hmm. And I was a newly single mom, and we didn't have anything. And I remember stressing about, oh my gosh, it's Christmas, and what do I get for the kids? Because it wasn't about me getting something. It was, what do I do for them? Kind of like what you're talking about for Shannon Jason. How do you have just something that can be put on the tree? And so Brittany and I kind of thought about it and thought, you know, we can wait. We can wait. We don't have to have presents under the tree. We understand the concept of Christmas. But Allie, who was still little, we got her, we could only afford maybe a couple of presents and put them under the tree. And you know, what I remember isn't what you would think that you would remember. You would think that you'd remember, oh, wow, that was such a sparse Christmas, or there was nothing to celebrate. That's not what we remember. We remember, and Brittany and I have talked about this, and of course, Allie's too little, or she was too little then to remember, but we remember that being one of our best Christmases because we separated out what Christmas meant. Allie got to open a couple of presents and she was delighted. But for Brittany and I, we were able to just relax into what Christmas is about and reflecting on Christ and the true gift. And, you know, as I think about it, I don't think I realized then, but, you know, Joseph and Mary didn't have anything, but they had the best Christmas gift ever in Christ. And
sorry.
That's okay. I want to hear what you have to say.
I was just thinking how kind of a different angle of that. It was like you gave like Christ gave. He gave up everything so that we, as his children, could have the very best. And our older brothers and sisters give up everything for us in our spiritual lives so that we can have the best. And you and Brittany both gave to Allie as Christ gave everything you had so that it would bless someone else. It wasn't about Christ getting the gifts that night. It was about Christ being the gift.
Yeah, totally, totally true. And, you know, I don't think I would have figured that out if we hadn't talked. It's a precious memory for me, but you putting that perspective really is helpful. And I hope that the people that are watching this devotional, I hope that they share their special time of remembering a memory for Christmas, because maybe somebody in the room or on the phone can add to it, just like you just added for me.
And maybe they could tell their person so that they could both share like we are sharing. And that would be another precious memory that would draw them closer together and help them see Christ in each other and how God has blessed them. I also think it's super interesting that neither of us said, here was the best Christmas ever, and it was everything Hallmark would have expected.
That's really true. We should make a commercial.
everything that Hallmark didn't expect.
That's right.
But the ones that have the most meaning are those that are not, they're not Christmas card stuff. They're things you get through and then you look back and you recognize in the moment that what you have is what's most critical, but not what is the most shiny.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Yeah, absolutely. And while we have beautiful backgrounds going on here, it's Christ that is most beautiful and his gift to us.
Yeah. That's one of the things that the Christmas tree reminds me of Germany, because the song O Tannenbaum is a German song, and it was written about the tree at the church. And so that's a German memory to me. So seeing that and someplace that's set aside with the lights, the candles, which were very German, there were always candles in the windows, reminds me of that Christmas. So.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that with me. How special.
Well, thank you for sharing. I mean, I know you've had lots of Christmases, and that one being special and being shared with you. I don't think I've ever heard that story either until just now. But you know what? I know also from knowing you, there are Christmases where traumatic things have happened and you've still found Christ in them. And I know I've had things that have happened on Christmas that have been really difficult, and still finding Christ in the middle of that, I think is a gift we give each other.
And I think that maybe with the memories that others can share, they can realize that gift too. And Christ gives us gifts that just bring in the memories back. We can remember all of the gifts that we are blessed with.
So how about this? How about if you and I together bless them with a special Christmas blessing?
Okay, let's see if we can do it without messing it up.
Okay, ready. May Christ be born again in you this Christmas.
Merry Christmas from your pastors.
From your pastors. We love you. Bye-bye.